more and more people are leaving their homes. Houses have been buried through this sea erosion activity. Houses have been buried into the sea. And that is how far the sea has covered our properties. People losing families, losing their houses because of the erosion.
Isaac Kutomate is from the village of Tutope in Ghana. He, like many others in the village, left his home because it is being devastated by rising sea levels. When climate change is the driving factor of why people like Isaac migrate or flee their homes, we use a relatively new term, climate refugee. People who were forced to flee their homes due to sudden or gradual alterations in the natural environment related to at least one of three impacts of climate change: sea level rise, extreme weather events, and drought and water scarcity. Isaac's town is being destroyed by rising sea levels.
When the sea also, there's high tides, it also flows into the land. Therefore, we are struggling between the sea and the river or the lagoon.
Isaac's village isn't the only one facing the situation. Every year, the oceans rise another 0.13 inches. From 1961 to 2017, 37 countries have lost land area from rising waters. St. Kitts and Nevis has lost more than a quarter of its land area since 1961. Ecuador has lost 10.29% of its land. Many other countries also stand to lose as sea levels continue to rise, displacing increasing numbers of people from their homes. By the year 2100, 2 billion people could become climate refugees due to rising sea levels throughout the world. Climate change has intensified familiar natural disasters into something almost unrecognizable. On average, extreme weather events shaped by climate change displace 26 million people every year. Every second, someone has to leave their home. This number continues to grow. The World Health Organization estimates that as early as 2025, half of the world's population will be living in areas without enough water.
Water points are drying up. Because of climate change, there's higher temperatures, there's less rainfall, and there's more droughts.
About 135 million people will possibly be displaced by 2045 due to desertification.
Some people who are in the refugee camps fishing in Lake Chad, area, and that fishing opportunities with climate change. The lake has dried up about 90% over the past decade or so no more fishing. And so economic opportunities, plus the instability of the region had driven them to these refugee camps.
People across Central America, Africa, and parts of South Asia have had to abandon their homes because of these effects.
Droughts in Guatemala have been around a long time. This is like a slow burn, meaning that they've dealt with droughts for a long time, but they used to last a few weeks. Now they last a few months. And that can make a huge difference if you're a farmer that's dependent on the rains.
And most of the time, those people are finding themselves in situations where they have no other options. No one is coming to their rescue. They aren't able to produce for themselves. This problem of migration related to food insecurity is becoming very real, and it's driven at its core by impacts from climate change.
Let me tell you this, we give them hundreds of millions of dollars, they do nothing for us.
Recently, the Trump administration announced plans to cut around $700 million in aid, which will affect the initiatives that were put in place to help those fighting climate change.
We don't see climate change necessarily as this existential threat here in the United States, but the vast majority of people around the world who are most vulnerable to the impacts of climate change are already people who are suffering from immense poverty.
The term climate refugee is still sort of entering the public consciousness, and I think what the term does is help people connect the dots, to think about climate change a little differently maybe, to think that this phenomenon of climate change is having a real impact in the lives of human beings.
Anytime I visit the village, at times I would want to cry, but then I can't cry because I'm a big man now. Some part of me wanted to move away, some part of me wanted to stay. Leaving my family ties and my cultural heritage, my history,